Welcome to Friday night at the Big Cat Cafe with Elizabeth Ellen Carter and Duncan Carling-Rodgers. Good evening, Elizabeth.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
We stuffed up the beginning, but you'll never know.
Because I'll edit that bit out.
Oh, phew, thank goodness for that.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the five senses, which of course are vision, hearing, smell, taste and touch.
That's right. Those five senses really bring a story to life because each of those senses are so visceral. They come to our understanding of our environment. So by looking through the eyes of the character, by smelling what they smell, by hearing what they hear, by describing what they touch, really brings a story to life.
I mean, there's nothing like the idea of enjoying a meal with the character by understanding the very tastes of the meal that they're consuming. How would you, for instance, describe biting into a juicy steak?
Oh, it's funny you should mention that because I was just visualizing that. A lovely medium rare steak, the high smell of that deliciously cooked steak, the taste as it moistly, the juices moistly drip on your tongue, the texture as you bite into it, the little bit of pink that tells you that it is just perfectly done.
How would you describe, for instance, the taste of a lemon?
Sharp, tart, bitter. It sits right on the tip of your tongue as something that just won't leave you.
The taste of lemon really bites. Okay, so how would you describe, for instance, the taste of bread? Just white bread.
Soft, sweet, doughy. The slightly flour smell of a traditional loaf, maybe like a Vienna loaf.
What all of this really comes to, though, is that in describing the tastes and the sounds around a character, you can really bring a story to life, can't you?
Yeah, that's very much so. And it's interesting because I got a lovely email back this week from a lovely friend, Lynley Day, who's just finished reading Moonstone Obsession, and she highlighted a part of the book that she quite liked, and that's the opening paragraph of chapter 7, which I'll get you to read for me.
The Black Boar Arms on the Isle of Dogs marked the start of the shipbuilding district of London. It had a permanent acrid smell of smoke, stale beer, unwashed bodies and piss.
That is obviously very evocative. Anyone who's been around a less well-to-do drinking establishment will notice that it has a particular smell. Even in the nicest nightclubs, there's still this undercurrent of what the evening activity is.
It's sort of the ghosts of activities past. From my point of view, the smell of English pubs was always the smell of stale beer in the carpets. The ghosts of pints long past were still making their presence felt through your nostrils.
It's one of the things that good writers do. They draw you in not only by the strength of the narrative or the how engaging the characters are, but as a reader of a good book, you want to feel like you're there with the characters, even if the landscape feels a bit alien, like a foreign land, a foreign time, even a foreign planet.
Here's John Fowles in his book The Magus on the senses. The bowed head, the buried face. She is silent, she will never speak, never forgive, never reach a hand, never leave this frozen present tense. All waits, suspended the autumn trees, the autumn skies, anonymous people. A blackbird, poor fool, sings out of season from the willows by the lake, a flight of pigeons over the house. Fragments of freedom, hazard, an anagram made flesh, and somewhere the stinging smell of burning leaves. John Fowles was a particularly talented author whose works include not only The Magus, but also The Collector, which was made into a movie starring, I believe, Terence Stamp.
Well, I think his best known work is The French Lieutenant's Woman.
Indeed, which once again was interestingly a book about writing a book, which of course was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep and Jeremy Irons.
John Fowles, just looking at his photograph here up on Wikipedia, he looks exactly as the author, as you'd expect the author to look like. There is a slight sternness to the face, the full beard, the deep furrows between his eyes.
I must confess that at this time, this is the very first time I've ever seen a photograph of John Fowles, and frankly he reminds me of Derryn Hinch.
Well, I was thinking Ernest Hemingway myself, but...
Well, yeah. Anyway, that's life. I used to know someone many years ago who the very first thing that she ever did when she picked up a brand new book was to open it up and take a smell of it, to stick her nose right against the pages and take a big deep sniff.
Well, look, that doesn't surprise me at all because, again, think about the senses that were just engaged there. You've got the book, your eyes are engaged, you have it in your hands, you've got touch engaged. In the case of your friend, she breathed it in. So there are three senses engaged there. Later on in the book, there will be other senses that are engaged between the ears. My recommendation to authors is really see the universe you're creating through your character's eyes. If they're picking up a flower, is there a thorn? Do they prick their fingers? What does the flower smell like? What does it look like? It's not enough, I don't believe, to say it was a pink rose. What shade of pink was it? The same dusky pink, the blush of the sun on a cloud on a new morning.
When the person pricks themselves with the thorn, is the pain sharp? Do they put their finger in their mouth and suck at the blood like we do? What does the blood taste like? Describe the irony taste.
It's great fun to do because from a writer's point of view, you yourself get drawn in as you're imagining all of this and then describing it to somebody who isn't seeing through your eyes at that point.
What all of this does, of course, is help the reader immerse themselves in the book, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much the case. There's something that a lot of people may not know about me, but I know it annoys you that when I get a new book, one of the first things I do is go to the back of the book and read the last page.
I wonder really how you can possibly do that. Surely it just spoils the whole experience.
Oh, it doesn't, and I now have scientific evidence to prove that it doesn't.
I very much doubt that an article in the Atlantic magazine is scientific evidence, but do tell.
Psychologists have found that people like stories more after they've been spoiled. Scientists asked 900 college students from the University of California, San Diego, to read mysteries and other short stories by writers like John Updike, Roald Dahl, Agatha Christie, and Raymond Carver. Each student got 3 stories, some with spoiler paragraphs revealing the twist, and some without any spoilers. Finally, the students rated their stories on a 10-point scale. Researchers concluded that subjects significantly preferred spoiled over unspoiled stories in the case of both ironic twist stories and mysteries. So there, I'm not mad.
My defence in that matter is that this is research conducted by the University of California, San Diego. I rest my case. Also in the news today, some news from the publisher HarperCollins.
That's right. Earlier this year, HarperCollins bought Harlequin, the well-known publisher of romances. Harlequin is also very interesting because a significant percentage of their titles are electronic downloads, and it looks like HarperCollins is looking to capitalise on that by offering authors direct sales options off their website and earning higher royalties.
What sort of impact does this have on the authors? How much more can they earn?
An additional 10%. With many Big Five publishers, HarperCollins' standard ebook royalty rate is 25%, which I have to say personally is very, very low. I'm earning a lot more than that from my publisher.
But that's actually often the case, isn't it, with ebook publishers?
35% is beginning to reach the threshold that smaller publishers are offering their authors.
With respect to Amazon, you have a plot to take over the world where Amazon's concerned, don't you, Elizabeth?
One book ranking at a time. That is through a wonderful short story anthology that is going to be launched at the end of November, called A Season to Remember. It's going to be absolutely free. It's a compendium of 4 short stories with Eva Scott, Noel Clarke, Suzanne Bellamy, and myself. It has a lovely Christmas theme, and we also have an ocean motif running through each of them as well.
And how exactly do you get an Amazon bestseller?
By offering the book for free.
Excellent.
Everybody likes free. Thank you for joining us for Friday night at the Big Cat Cafe with Elizabeth Ellen Carter and Duncan Carling-Rodgers.
Good night.
Good night.